You've done it today, maybe even in the last hour, and you didn't even think twice about it. You muttered under your breath when you couldn't find your keys, whispered encouragement before a big meeting, or maybe just said, "come on" to yourself when the Wi-Fi froze. We all do it, talk to ourselves. And here's the kicker. It's not just some quirky habit. It's actually one of the most fascinating windows into how the human brain works. For years, people thought self-talk was a little strange, maybe even a sign you were losing it. But the truth, talking to yourself might be one of the smartest, healthiest, and most human things you can do. Let's break down why you do it, what it means, and the hidden science that proves it's way more than just random chatter. Imagine your brain as a non-stop news channel. From the second you wake up, it's producing headlines. Running late, need coffee, don't forget your phone. This inner narration is called inner speech, and it's so natural you barely notice it. When you externalize it, actually speaking out loud, you're basically turning up the volume on that internal voice. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin found that this isn't just background noise. It's the brain's way of organizing thoughts. Saying things out loud forces you to slow down and process them differently. Think about when you read silently versus reading out loud. Suddenly, details pop. You catch mistakes, you focus harder. That's what's happening with self-talk. It's your brain's editor-in-chief making sure the story runs smoothly. And the wild thing, almost everyone does it, whether they admit it or not. Picture this. You're at the gym, halfway through a brutal set, your arms shaking. You hear yourself saying, "come on, one more rep." That tiny phrase isn't fluff, it's fuel. Psychologists call this motivational self-talk, and it works. A study in the journal Frontiers in Psychology found athletes who use positive self-talk actually improve performance. It's like your brain responds better when encouragement comes from you, not someone else. Why? Because your own voice carries authority. It's familiar. You believe it. This doesn't just apply to sports. Before a job interview, whispering "you've got this" actually primes your brain to perform better. It reduces anxiety, boosts focus, and builds confidence. The trick is in the wording. Saying "I can do this" is way more effective than "don't screw this up." Negative phrasing trips alarms in the brain. Positive phrasing sets the stage for success. So, yeah, that pep talk you gave yourself before asking for a raise. Science says it made you braver. If you've ever watched a kid playing with Legos, you've seen it. They talk through every move. This piece goes here, then the car drives there. Psychologists call this private speech, and it's one of the main ways children learn. The Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky first noticed this almost a century ago. Kids narrate their actions out loud as a bridge between thought and behavior. Over time, that narration goes internal. It becomes inner speech. But here's the kicker. Adults don't outgrow it. We just hide it better. That's why you catch yourself muttering, "keys, wallet, phone," as you walk out the door. It's a memory hack. By externalizing your thoughts, you're making them stick. So, the next time you're talking to yourself while cooking or troubleshooting your laptop, don't feel weird. You're just using the same tool that helped you learn to walk, talk, and survive childhood. The habit never left. It just went undercover. Ever been so mad you had to literally say "calm down" out loud? That's not just venting. That's emotional regulation in action. Studies show that addressing yourself in the second person, using "you" instead of "I," is especially powerful. For example, saying, "you're going to be okay" hits harder than "I'm going to be okay." Why? Because it creates distance. It tricks your brain into talking to yourself like you're another person. And when you do that, you suddenly become more rational. It's like becoming your own best friend in a crisis. Research from the University of Michigan found that this tiny shift reduces stress, lowers heart rate, and helps you make clearer decisions. Think about it. When a friend panics, you're great at giving advice. But when you panic, not so much. Self-talk flips the script, letting you play both roles, the friend and the fixer. It's not crazy. It's neuroscience. Okay, let's get real. Not all self-talk is sunshine and pep talks. Sometimes that voice in your head, or out loud, is brutal. You're an idiot. Why do you always mess this up? That's negative self-talk, and it's toxic. Research shows it can tank your mood, increase anxiety, and even mess with your physical health. Chronic negative self-talk has been linked to higher levels of stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, that stress can impact sleep, focus, even immune function. The good news? You can fight back. One method psychologists recommend is thought reframing. Instead of, "I can't do this," you shift it to, "This is hard, but I'll figure it out." Sounds small, but the brain responds differently. Another trick is using humor. If your inner critic says, "Wow, you're a disaster," respond with, "Well, at least I'm a stylish disaster." Self-talk is a habit, and habits can change. The voice in your head doesn't have to be a bully. It can be your best coach if you train it. Ever tried putting together IKEA furniture? The instructions are all stick figures and mysterious arrows, and before you know it, you're swearing at a pile of screws. That's when self-talk kicks in. Okay, this piece goes here. No, wait, that's backwards. This isn't just frustration, it's problem solving out loud. Cognitive scientists say self-directed speech is a way of keeping your brain on track when tasks are complex. When you talk out the steps, you reduce what's called cognitive load, the mental weight of trying to hold too many things in your head at once. By speaking, you offload memory onto sound. Think of it like writing notes, but faster. Surgeons, pilots, and even chess players sometimes use self-talk to stay focused. It's less about looking odd and more about increasing accuracy. If mumbling through building a bookshelf makes you seem weird, so be it. You'll still have a bookshelf standing at the end. Ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Classic. But here's a trick. Speaking out loud actually helps you remember things better. Psychologists call this the production effect. When you read something silently, your brain processes it one way. When you read it out loud, you create a dual memory. One from seeing, one from hearing. That double hit makes the memory stronger. In one experiment, people who read words aloud were much better at remembering them later compared to those who read silently. So, when you repeat someone's name after meeting them, you're not just being polite, you're wiring it deeper into memory. This explains why you might mutter grocery lists under your breath in the store. You're reinforcing recall. It's not absent-mindedness, it's strategy. Next time someone catches you whispering, bread, eggs, milk, just tell them you're using advanced neuroscience techniques. Sounds fancier than, "I talk to myself in aisle 3. Picture yourself running late, stuck in traffic, and you know your boss is waiting. Your heart races, palms sweat, brain spirals. Out slips the whisper, "It's fine, breathe." That's not random, it's your brain's defense system. Self-talk in stressful situations is like pulling the emergency brake on anxiety. Studies show that people who use calming self-talk recover from stress faster than those who don't. Police officers, firefighters, and even astronauts train in self-talk to keep cool under pressure. It's not magic, it's a focus tool. When adrenaline floods your system, rational thought gets hijacked. Talking yourself down is a way of regaining control. And here's the kicker. The words matter less than the tone. A calm, steady voice signals safety to your brain, even if it's your own. So, when you mutter, "We'll get there, it's okay," you're basically hacking your nervous system into slowing down. Not bad for a habit most people think is just quirky. Some of the greatest ideas in history came from people literally talking to themselves. Think about it. When you're brainstorming, you might toss out half-baked thoughts just to see what sticks. Out loud, those thoughts sound different. They trigger associations you wouldn't get by thinking silently. Writers do this. Musicians hum ideas aloud. Scientists pace and mutter through theories. Talking sparks creativity because it externalizes thoughts, making them more flexible. There's even evidence that creative problem-solving improves when people dialogue with themselves. It's like playing both roles in a brainstorming session, and sometimes hearing your own words exposes flaws faster. Ever notice how an idea that sounded brilliant in your head falls apart the second you explain it, even to yourself? That's the value of self-talk. It forces honesty. If the idea survives being said out loud, it's probably solid. If not, at least you saved yourself from sending that embarrassing late-night million-dollar idea email to your boss. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Society often treats self-talk as a little odd. You've probably felt embarrassed after realizing someone caught you muttering in public. But here's the truth. Self-talk is universal. Everyone does it. The only difference is some people hide it better. The stigma comes from outdated beliefs. Decades ago, talking to yourself was wrongly linked with being unstable. But modern psychology knows better. Today, experts recognize it as a healthy cognitive tool. In fact, athletes, CEOs, and surgeons openly admit to using self-talk. So, why do we still feel awkward? Because humans are wired for social behavior, and talking out loud when nobody's there breaks that norm. But flip the perspective. You carry a phone, right? For all anyone knows, you're on Bluetooth. Suddenly, muttering in public looks less weird. The irony is that the very thing people joke about, talking to yourself, might be the habit that keeps your brain sharper, calmer, and more productive than theirs. Imagine looking in the mirror before a big presentation and saying, "You've got this." Notice that you didn't say, "I've got this." You talk to yourself in the third person, like you're coaching someone else. That little switch matters. Research from the University of Michigan shows that using your own name, or you, instead of I, gives you emotional distance. It tricks your brain into seeing the problem as someone else's. Suddenly, you're calmer, clearer, and less emotionally tangled. Think of it like being your own coach on the sidelines. You wouldn't yell, "I can do it," at a player. You'd shout their name and encourage them directly. That's the psychology behind this trick. It works because humans are wired to respond to our names. From childhood, hearing our name sparks attention and authority. So, when you say Sarah, relax, or Mike, focus, your brain perks up. It's like hacking your own attention system. What seems like a quirky pep talk is really neuroscience at work. Think about the last time you learned something new, driving, cooking, coding. Chances are, you coached yourself through it. Okay, foot on the brake, now shift to drive. Talking yourself through steps while learning isn't childish, it's effective. Studies show that instructional self-talk improves skill acquisition. Athletes use it constantly. A basketball player might mutter, "Elbow in, follow through." A musician whispers, "Fingers here, keep the tempo." This isn't random chatter. It's a teaching tool. When you're new at something, your brain is juggling unfamiliar steps. Saying them out loud anchors the process. Over time, those verbal instructions fade into silent thought, and finally into muscle memory. But the talking stage, that's essential. It's your brain's training wheels. So, if you're trying to master a sourdough starter, or your first coding language, go ahead and narrate every move. You might sound like a beginner, but that's exactly how beginners become experts. Picture sitting down to study or work. Distractions are everywhere. Your phone buzzes, the fridge calls, TikTok tempts. Then you mutter, "Focus." Just 20 minutes. That small act is like drawing a line in the sand. Self-talk sharpens attention because it acts as a verbal cue. Think of it like pressing reset on your brain. In fact, experiments show that people who use task-related self-talk complete work faster and with fewer mistakes. It's like having an internal manager keeping you on track. Athletes use this during competitions, telling themselves, "Watch the ball" or "Stay low." Students do it during exams, whispering, "Read carefully." Workers do it in high-stakes jobs, like surgeons quietly reminding themselves of key steps. Focus isn't about willpower alone, it's about cues. And sometimes the clearest cue is your own voice cutting through the noise. So, when you catch yourself saying, "Come on, just finish this paragraph," know that it's not weakness, it's strategy. Here's something powerful. Self-talk can make you tougher, not physically, but mentally. When life throws setbacks, rejection, failure, bad days, your response often comes through your own words. Saying, "This is tough, but I'll get through it," might sound simple, But resilience is built on those micro moments. Studies in sports psychology show athletes who practiced positive self-talk bounce back quicker after losses. In everyday life, the same principle applies. Self-talk gives you a narrative. You can choose one where you're the victim or one where you're the fighter. Words shape perspective, and perspective shapes endurance. The beauty is, resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about how you talk to yourself while you're broken. Quiet reassurances, gentle reminders, even little jokes. These are the tools that help you rebuild. So, resilience isn't some grand heroic quality. It's a habit. And like most habits, it starts with a single sentence you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening.